Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa Havers and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. So welcome everybody. I'm so excited for our conversation today. I've brought together a roundtable of the most incredible leaders where we're going to be talking about what we see in our area of expertise, and it's an opportunity for me to introduce people that I love and know, and to really then be able to share our behind the scenes conversations with our communities as well. So for everyone listening, I am your host. I'm Louisa Havers. I'm the creator of the Helix Method, which is our energy psychology modality, and I'm a Master Akashic Record teacher and trainer with the Soul Journeys Method. And I help self-aware entrepreneurs to break through their upper limits in life and business. And today our panel is leaders who are experts in their field around alignment in their different areas. And we're going to be talking about the key to having success. That's our conversation today. And we all really want this to be of highest service for everyone. So I'm really excited for everyone to meet each other, and would love to, let's just take a moment. We've got an hour together for some quick intros, so everyone knows who's here. Yvette, do you want to introduce yourself? On to you first, lovely.
Hello, and thanks for inviting me, Louise. It's been lovely to be here after our last time together. So I'm Dr. Yvette Ankara. I'm a transformational coach, speaker and consultant. I have a corporate business as well where we go in and do executive coaching and leadership training, but I work primarily with women one-to-one to help them have success without burnout and just to really connect to their calling. And that's what I help them do.
Thank you. Huge welcome, Yvette. Amber, I'm going to come to you.
Thank you for having me. It's so great to be here with you all. My name is Amber Romaniuk, and I'm an emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I've had my business for 10 years, and I coach women who are putting themselves on the back burner, professionals, business owners, doesn't matter the background, but they are putting themselves on the back burner and therefore are struggling with significant hormone issues, gut issues, low self-worth, weight issues, and of course, using food as a coping mechanism. So work one-on-one in group to help them completely heal and gain food and body freedom.
Powerful work. Thank you so much, Amber. So excited you're here. Jenna, welcome, lovely.
Hi, Louisa. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Jenna Holloway, and I'm an intuitive subconscious coach. I help business owners who have a mission that's bigger than them. They feel that they've got a calling, and they're really driven. They can be super successful. Some of them are already super successful, but they are creating their success from a place of push and struggle and hard work, which isn't sustainable. And I use subconscious reprogramming and intuitive mentorship to reprogram that so that they can create their success with ease and flow, and having a business that lights them up, but also a life too, and to really be able to live in the now and enjoy that mental and emotional freedom that they have when they work with me. So yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, amazing. Thanks for being here, Jenna. Laura, a huge welcome. It's good to see you.
Lovely to see you. So lovely to be here. And hi, Yvette. So nice to see you here as well. So I'm Laura Waldman, also known as the Abundance Activator. I'm the author of Money Manifestation Mastery. It's So I work with money very consciously and mindfully as an activator for big-hearted business owners and entrepreneurs to expand into the next level of their big money mission, their big vision, their business. So I call it heart, body, soul aligned wealth creation, where we're creating wealth consciously and mindfully in every area of life, but using money as an activator for that, and business as well, helping them step into the next level of their purpose, power, and prosperity.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for being here. So excited you're here. And I just clicked over the weekend that you and Yvette knew each other, because I saw you chatting on Facebook. I was like, oh, you already know each other. But it's lovely to bring everybody together. And so excited for our conversation, because this is something that I see certainly in my area, where I'm helping people also breaking through their upper limits in life, which of course includes money. And I use the terminology a lot myself as well, alignment and manifesting. And I see that these terms are becoming synonymous with creating aligned success. But actually, what is everyone really talking about? What kind of myths then can be created when people don't fully really understand what perhaps someone's talking about? So, because we talk about alignment all the time, and as we all know, we're aligned to something always. It just might not be in the right direction that we want to go in. So we'd love to start here, to have your reflections of what you're seeing in your part of the world on the internet and in real life as well. Is what kind of myths are you seeing that people might have about alignment that is then impacting their path to success? Yvette, do you want to start us off? We'd love to hear your reflections.
Come to me first.
That intuition, you knew it.
Yeah. So I think what I'm seeing is that even that word success, people are not clear on what it is for them. There's a lot of other people's success and, connecting to that. So when you say about aligning to the wrong things, I think that's what I'm seeing a lot, where people are gravitating to what they think success should be, and it's not their mission, it's not their goal, it's not their life path. So therefore they're taking the wrong actions and they're doing the wrong things, and they're not having the outcomes they want to have, rather than going inwards and saying, okay, what does it mean for me? What's it that I want to have? What am I connecting with? And as soon as that starts to happen, that's where the shift is, that's where the change comes, and that's when people start to soar. But I think particularly with social media, there's a lot of this world that's kind of out there and really coming into your world, and you're thinking, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and if I'm not doing that, therefore I'm slacking. And no, actually that's just not your journey and not your path, and it's not your story. And it's that kind of consciousness that I'm seeing that people are having to do the shift with, and to start to change and start to learn how to ignore that noise so they can listen to their own voices.
So true. Yeah, because we get programmed by what we're seeing everywhere. So we're constantly getting programmed by social media, and then our subconscious is kind of coming up with various stories. Oh, thank you so much, Amber. I'd love your reflections on myths that you're seeing, and what Yvette has started our conversation with.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I see is I have to fully be embodied or perfect before I can start or grow or expand, whether it's like, I've got to be the perfect weight, I've got to fully have this healed, or I have to have this X amount of knowledge. But part of it is we don't actually gain those pieces until we're in it and we start creating and serving and supporting. And so I think number one is, really being clear that you're never going to be perfect, and the embodiment comes as you step into the path. And I think the other thing with social media specifically is showing up completely in this perfection with the perfect feed and the perfect content, and not necessarily showing a bit more of that intimate, vulnerable, or humorous side. And I've even had those experiences with transformation over my business, where it's like people want more vulnerability, they want more intimacy, they want more personal, they want to see a bit of the mess behind the scenes, because it brings such a relatability, a warmth, and a connection And I think more now than ever, we're really craving that. So bringing like all the aspects of us, I think is really important, rather than just like this, like one color of your personality.
So, so good. I completely agree. I used to see, I don't see it quite so much anymore. I don't know if you guys are seeing this as well. Certainly in the coaching field, where you'd have coaches doing these incredibly grand photo shoots in sort of very fancy hotels with ball gowns on and all that kind of stuff. And now it feels like it has shifted away to um, being more in real life, which I think it is really important, really important. Jenna.
I've got 2 points come through. I just want to say off the back of what Amber said about being relatable, and just being yourself is being relatable. And we don't want to ask the question, how can I be relatable? We just want to ask the question, how can I be more me? Because there is
Mm.
only one of you, and you are the person to deliver your unique gifts. So kind of zone out what everybody else is doing and honor who you truly are. And that is powerful. And I really try and embody that in showing how I can create the success that I create with a busy family life, and having a young family, and still being able to create that success from a place of ease rather than struggle. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up was that success. Why do we want success? And how very often, and this is my story too, up until I realized and then changed the game, is who are you creating success for? Who are you trying, not necessarily who are you trying, but are you wanting your success for yourself, or to prove that you're good enough to mom or dad or whoever it is, or to show that teacher who told you you're never going to amount to anything? That kind of story. And that is okay to have as a driver for success to a certain point. But if we can do the healing to then create success for ourselves, then it just feels different, because you're no longer doing it from a place of, I will show you. You're doing it for yourself, and it just, I don't know, it just feels different.
Yeah, do you know, as you shared that, I was remembering my biology teacher. He popped in, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I must have been, I'll show you. Thank you so much, Jenna. Laura, I'd love to hear your reflections on what you're seeing and what everyone's, any reflections on what everyone has been sharing so far as well.
I feel like I'd like to speak about the myths of like soul alignment, because that's sort of one of my areas of expertise, and I hear a lot of myths.
I bet you do.
I don't know.
What are you hearing?
I've been the upholder of a lot of them as well, right? The sort of as you grow, you learn. But I think one of the ones I want to say is that it sort of has to all feel good, right? That it's supposed to be, because you guys all made amazing points, and I would have kind of been talking about some of those, but is just because something's aligned doesn't mean it's comfortable, or like that it's going to feel good. So like I think people I definitely got confused with this in the early days. It's like, oh, something's aligned, but then it kind of feels bad, or you're getting negative kickback, or you're getting criticism, or negative things are happening, and that means it's not aligned, or right. And I think there's this kind of fragility around soul alignment. And actually, I'm realizing it's actually pretty friggin' brave and courageous work. It's sort of quite a lot of heavy lifting if you're really doing that kind of soul aligned work. So that's what I would say. It's kind of tied a little bit into perfectionism, where yeah, it's all supposed to be perfect, and we're all supposed to be happy and smiley and wonderful. I've actually found often like the complete opposite of that. So that's what I would add to that.
I love it. So it's like I'm really aligned, but I can feel frustrated at the same time. I'm really aligned and I can feel sad. And
Yeah.
that's normal and it's okay. There is a huge risk actually, isn't it? If people are pushing down those emotions and feeling like they're supposed to be really happy and not allowed to have the sadness that may bubble up, or the frustrations and all those things. And I know, Amber, we've had a podcast before where we were talking lots about this, and in terms of people pressing down, suppressing emotions, and the impact on that. And I think this kind of comes into it leads into the element around having the standards that we hold for ourselves. And one of the things I'm always talking about with my clients is about, we have to require more of ourselves as we're growing our business. And I remember myself thinking, but I'm doing everything. How can I require more of myself? and So for me, it's that piece around standards and boundaries. And would love to hear your reflections, because we do often hear leaders talk about requiring more of yourself, having strong boundaries. But like, what does that mean when someone's trying to grow from six figures to multi six figures, or wherever they're at in their business, knowing that there's going to have to be that a little bit more. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on standards and boundaries. I'll come to you, Amber, to kick us off.
This is a big one. So I think with growth, and preventing burnout so we can have sustainable growth is number one, really gaining clarity on what are the boundaries that I want to set for myself, for personal, my health, my frequency, my own grounding in my personal life, and then in my business. Because ideally, we don't want to be going, oh my gosh, I have to respond to client emails at 2 a.m. and I have to be on call 24/7 and I'm going to just be available all the time, right? We have to have those solid boundaries. And so I think really gaining clarity of, okay, what are my hours of availability? When am I offline? Do I have a practice in the morning or the evening to connect with myself, to ground, right? Prioritizing that time for you. Do I have time for nourishment, for processing through those emotions that maybe I want to shove down? And so I think really gaining clarity with your calendar, and also going, I am one powerful person. However, do you want to bring on some support, a VA, someone to assist you with certain back end things? Or is there assistance with like cleaning your house, or just thinking of like where in your personal life or business is it time to bring on some assistance to help you grow? Because you're not meant to do it all as things grow, in my opinion, and you don't want to end up burn out with adrenal fatigue and then resent your business, or then be so exhausted that you can't show up the way that you want and then you have to pull back. So I think those things are really important to consider.
Important. Yes, absolutely. Yvette, I could see you kind of nodding away there.
Yeah, well, my journey is one of burnout. So because of that journey, I love a boundary. I'm really good with my boundaries. And, especially as I've grown and the business has grown, I've had to really be very strict. So one of them, for example, is I don't work in August. I take all of August off. And I made that commitment and I thought, oh gosh, how do I do this? And I said, actually, you just do this. You just tell people you're not available. And funny enough, it works. I'm just not available. And I put those things in, and also make those choices of what is it I want? How do I want to be? And how am I going to go about doing that? And sometimes you do things that are unaligned, and the second you do them, you really know. And it doesn't matter if it's the thing that you're really good at. I've been a trainer for more than 20 years, but it's not something that's aligned in my spirit now. So it's like, actually, I don't wish to do that anymore. So I'm not going to. And it's kind of, as soon as you make that decision, it's like, oh, okay, that feels really good. Right. It's great. But knowing what's for you, even though it might be the thing that you've been known for, it's okay if you want to shift and change. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, because other people don't want you to change. They want you to stay exactly where you are. And if you're going to grow, you kind of sometimes have to move through that. So there is a kind of pushing against some of those things, that you stay aligned, that you stay in your boundaries, and that you start honoring you, because that growth that you want to take, that next leap, it requires that.
Mm.
And it's not easy, but that's the step. That's the growing bit. And yeah, definitely get teams. I love people helping me. I got to do it all myself. No, I'm done with that. It's okay. If you want to help me, great, thank you. Appreciate that. Because that means that I can let go of that, so I can then step into this.
Mm.
And that's part of that journey as well, especially when you do everything by yourself. It's how you then start moving into another level. And that is a mindset shift. But it was a big one.
It's huge, isn't it? Because it's gone from just having personal boundaries from yourself, but then also personal boundaries with your team, leadership with teams. You're not just leading yourself anymore, leading your community. That's a whole nother dynamic and ball game, isn't it? Yeah. Jenna, love your reflections.
Yeah, I really resonate with the whole pivot. If you're meant to pivot, and some people might not want you to, and that is okay. It's about what's right for you and where you're going, and you have to have that trust to be able to make those moves, even if it feels really uncomfortable. And I, in August last year, pivoted my entire business off of the back of the intuitive nudge that came in. I was seeing business owners in my one-to-one space, but if you looked at my marketing, you just wouldn't know it. And it dropped in for me that this really is my next move. And so I pivoted, and up until, so the point I want to make is that alignment is constantly evolving as we are growing. So what is aligned is changing. And so I recommend what I do and what I share with my clients is audit very, very regularly, on a weekly basis, audit. What are your boundaries? Audit everything in your life, basically, because one day it can feel right and the next it can feel misaligned. And literally last Friday, I decided I'd been seeing clients who were coming to me on a referral basis for my previous niche. I was helping non-business owners who were in survival mode, basically. Up until last Friday, I was still seeing the old client who got referred to me. And I checked in with myself, and I had somebody reach out on Friday, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I made that decision. And Yvette's totally right. When you make that decision, it just feels really, really good. But it's giving yourself permission to make those moves, to make those changes. And what is aligned one day can totally flip and change. So be aware and be ready to constantly check in with yourself about anything and everything in your life, because that alignment is constantly moving.
That's such an important point about alignment constantly moving, because sometimes we can think, oh, I've just done that, so now I'm aligned. I don't need to make another decision or change anything for a while. No, you might well be having to pivot, flip it, because suddenly, because that piece of alignment's come in to your desire, that then that next decision needs to be made. It's so, we feel so much lighter. I certainly feel so much lighter when I've made that decision, and then the boundaries in place, isn't it? And you can hold it. Oh, love it. Lara, what's resonating for you? Would love your thoughts.
Everything is resonating, and I think I'm pretty good at the boundaries in work and listening and tuning in. What I find sometimes where the leak is a little bit is around the standards and boundaries within normal relationships that impact on business. So for me, what's stressful is trying to honor my own boundaries and standards when it's not very socially acceptable. So friends or family, and always taking that risk between honoring myself as a business owner and entrepreneur who's very clear on her mission, versus being kind of approved of or accepted socially. So that's where I can leak energy and get quite stressed about, am I really how bold am I and brave am I gonna be and risk, yeah, it's always, that's quite deep. That one's quite deep for me. And I know it's so I'll spend quite a lot of time am I sure this is the right boundary? Instead, am I really willing to risk, relationships or whatever to honor myself? And I'm got to the point where I'm I can't not, because the cost is my health, mental health, emotional health, physical health. And I can't serve, I can't grow. So that's for me been the big one, is I choose to honor my boundaries and my standards personally, even if I'm not understood. Because if someone's not an entrepreneur, not in business, they don't get it. And you can, disappoint people up and down and stuff. So for me, it's I choose to put not only myself, what I'm here to do ahead of meeting the personal emotional needs or whatever needs of friends and family. So that's been my big one recently, that I've been you know what? That's where my new level boundaries I've been finding.
That's it, clear line. I think that's so important, because you really brought to life kind of how it can actually look like in real life in terms of boundaries, because it is as everybody's got multiple roles life, haven't we? With mums, sisters, cousins, partners, all the things. There's so many competing priorities. And anyone who's caring for elderly parents as well, that the demands can increase there tenfold, certainly for people. So it can feel like a bit of a juggling act to be able to kind of, how do I stay aligned and to honor my boundaries and to be the daughter that I want to be, and all those things. I speak to that just because my mum's getting elderly, and I have my boundaries around that I've put in place, that I can be in alignment with wanting her to have a good experience with me as a daughter, as she's getting older, and being the CEO of my business without it kind of having a knock-on impact. I think this is so important, and it is one of those challenges that I see that people can have as they're growing their businesses. It can become one of the blocks that can stop people from having that alignment and having that success. I'd love to dive into kind of blocks and the things that you also see coming up for people that perhaps can take them out of the game, because there's so much here in that. We all work with number of different clients, and you can have some clients that will have certain qualities when they come in that they're going to fly with something, and then others coming in and you're holding them in the same type of container, and yet they're not having that kind of same initial success that perhaps that they were hoping for. What kind of blocks are you seeing, or qualities that can kind of take people out of not out of the game, but perhaps can slow them down a little bit? I think this is a really important part of the conversation, because it will help everyone kind of think, oh goodness, I can see where that one's coming up for me. Jenna, you're nodding away. What's coming to mind?
Asking the question, I was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm going to say here. And then it just dropped in right at the end. It's this perception when you work on something that it's done, whether that's money mindset, or I've done the work on being a people pleaser, or whatever it is. And we want to shift away from that and into this perception of it's never done. When you are committed to being a CEO, or when you are committed to, we are talking to only business owners, aren't we?
Yeah, there might be some corporate people that are listening to, and we welcome them.
We're all invested in our personal growth, right?
Yeah.
So we invested in your personal growth. You are continually growing. And so you can't expect the inner work to ever be done. So if something comes up again that you feel like you've worked on so many times, celebrate it, because it's a new layer. It's only come up because you are ready to deal with it at this next level. So it's just that very subtle shift from being like frustrated that it's come up again to, okay, good, it's coming up again for a reason, and I'm going to shift it again, and I'm going to shift it as many times as I need to, and to just try to do away with that frustration of the inner work, because the inner work is never ever done, and it's so powerful and it's so important.
It really is. It's almost like a block of I should be done already.
Yeah, and we all feel it, right? But just know that we never ever get to that place where we're like, oh, I finished, because if we're not growing, we're dead. So it's okay to feel that, but then be like, right, okay, no, I'm here to do this work. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Thank you. Yvette, what are you seeing in your part of the world?
I think there's the blocks of about potential. And it's not just money. There is the blocks of the whole, I'm not putting the numbers up, I'm not doing various things, but it's the not knowing how limitless they are, and putting a ceiling on how amazing they can be, and helping people explore that and really kind of unpick that. And once they start realizing that there is a different way, it's amazing how people just grow and soar and get on with things that they put off. But it's that kind of tapping potential. And I'm seeing that in lots of different spaces. And that's something I've noticed. And you know, if you say something, you're limitless, they're like, yeah, okay. You know, it's not how people think, but it's the whole idea of, you know, if you talk in the corporate world, you talk about glass ceiling, okay, you understand that, but we have a ceiling on ourselves sometimes, and no one's put it there. We have.
Yeah.
So it's almost, what would you do if you had no ceiling? And it's that thinking of trying to that's part of the transformational work, right? Helping people understand that there are other ways to perceive their lives and other ways to look at things. And when they start engaging with that shift, and like Jenna said, the work is never done. You know, you'll deal with something, and they said the biology teacher popped up. Where did that come from, right? You know, we will have that because we're going to next levels. We're doing next things, and we've cleared off some of the really sticky, icky bits. But then, actually, in order for us to then go to that next bit and shift that next thing, remove that ceiling, we might have to tackle something else. But knowing that you can and knowing that you have all this potential there makes it a lot easier.
So true. God damn it, Mr. White, the biology teacher, popping in. Is he blocking me? Is that blocking me from
Remember
my
his
next level?
name, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I do. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Yeah, there's so much there. So that I should be done already, and then that how we cap ourselves, and that the freedom of being limitless can actually feel kind of scary. You know, it feels safer to kind of have the cap, in a way. Amber, what are you seeing in your part of the world?
Yeah, I think there's two key pieces. There's an unworthiness factor, whether it's I feel unworthy to be successful and expand and heal this, or because I'm unworthy, I don't deserve success, abundance, to heal my relationship with food, to release the weight, to finally step into my power and heal people pleasing or whatever it is. And one of the things I find very connected to that is when we feel in the space of unworthiness and maybe we're vibrating a bit lower and we're exhausted and we're overwhelmed and there's so much on our plates because we're in this proving, people pleasing, all or nothing mentality, we'll end up in a space where maybe we have lower dopamine and serotonin, which are those mood boosting neurotransmitters. And so then we end up, chasing reward. Oh, I'm going to overbook and people please. And then I get the validation for someone, boom, dopamine high. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed tonight, I'm going to just check out with TV and food, boom, dopamine high. But then we're continuing to fuel the state of unworthiness because we did the thing again that we don't want to do. And now I'm puffy and bloated and exhausted and resenting myself. And now I'm upset with my business because I said yes to those 10 things I didn't want to. And that just fuels the vicious cycle of the mood drop and then us tying it to the unworthiness. So I think it's important for everyone to have compassion for the depth of physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual connections of these things, and to be willing to be patient and take it one step at a time to chip away at the unworthiness or to work on the things that are going to help you regulate those mood boosting neurotransmitters and to understand how powerful we are at that shift. And are you willing to look at that and work on that and really address the roots rather than continue to quick fix your way through, right? Because it will only last for so long until you're just so depleted or so overwhelmed emotionally that it's hard to succeed and grow.
And then we've just taken ourselves completely out of alignment, haven't we, with everything frazzled. Nervous system is freaking out. Yeah. Thank you. Lara, what's coming up for you?
Well, blocks, or in particular money blocks, has been my obsession for a very long time. So I been kind of chipping away at this one for ages. But the level that I want to talk on that I find super interesting is really core trauma wounds that begin particulars early developmental stages of childhood. And what I think is really interesting, sometimes that our wounds or early wounds can fuel our work. So I'm your wounds go into your work, and it can you can get a certain level of achievement or a certain level of success. And then what happens, I find, you get to a certain level and you hit this invisible glass ceiling, or suddenly you're that thing that got you, that strategy that got you to that certain level can actually then be the block from you accelerating into that next level or skyrocketing into that next level. And this is where we kind of have to go right back to ground zero. And this is where you can really see I call it the breakdown, breakthrough, where it's wait a minute, this strategy I used or this thing I used, to get that dopamine hit or to get those results is now no longer working. And it's like bashing your head against a brick wall. And then we can find that sometimes, it's like almost it's almost like your whole world can kind of feel like it's like burning to the ground to actually allow a new level to rise beyond that block. So for me, it's really, I think the challenge of blocks on this level is it's fully in a blind spot, and it's really, really hard to see it. And it can be very, very painful to go there because it means going into like the deepest depth of vulnerability and feeling things that you maybe like disassociated from a very, very long time ago that you don't want to feel, or you didn't even realize like that, or the science teacher or whatever. It could be something that it's actually even not even obviously a big traumatic experience. It could be what we call like the little T trauma, but these things that happened a very, very long time ago that's actually fueled your whole thing that then can really stop you from moving forward. So that's the area I find really, really interesting, really, really fascinating. It's challenging because it's usually in like this big ass blind spot, and it's also really painful. Call it like defrosting trauma, where you have to go and meet these spaces and places that you didn't even realize were there in the first place. That's the bit that I'm like endlessly fascinated about, particularly when we're trying to like, when there's all these like things start working, you're hitting up against these blocks, you don't know why is this not working? The strategy worked before, why is it no longer working? And I find we start to like unpick the layers, we're going into some deep, old, very, very young, sometimes very, very young patterns that really need to be kind of worked with and kind of realigned, finding a new way. So that's what the level I've been playing on more recently.
I love it. It's so key. It's so key. Do you find your clients are surprised by some of the revelations when their body, that connection between their mind and the body, and they realize what the block was holding them back? Like, because you're saying it's not obvious.
Yeah, they're very surprised and a little bit shocked. And it's also like, whoa, sort of actually almost like memories coming back, or not quite realizing the connection, and not really realizing these certain events that maybe happened in the past, like how that's been running and fueling. And I find this is like the gift on the other side, like that breakthrough, the gift of burnout, where your body's like, no more, but you don't even realize because you're just kind of like going and pushing. And so it's usually very surprising. It's quite shocking. I mean, I've had this so many times myself, where like, oh, I didn't even realize that thing had such an impact that was stopping me. It, again, gets you to that certain level of success, but actually becomes the biggest block to moving into that next level. So it's usually, if a surprise, it's usually in a blind spot, and it's quite painful at first to see it.
Just want to recap that bit, because that piece that you were saying, it's what drove you to the success then becomes the block. That feels like something that's a writer downer for everyone, because it's really, I think that really brings to people's awareness of recognizing how these blocks can then get created when it's not obvious, because we think, but it worked before, so why is it not working now? And the reason why the biology teacher, I remember his name and everything, is because I've worked on it before, so I know what that one is. That's about visibility, that's coming back in again. Like we were saying, we're never done. It's like, okay. And I find that they can have sort of, it's like familiar faces coming in, and then there's different layers of what's the next piece that's being shown for healing, transmutation, transformation, behind the experiences that we are aware of. But what's coming through for you as we're continuing this conversation?
Oh my goodness, I totally resonate with what all of you are saying, but I think one of the things is that when we go into one of these blocks, like what Laura was just talking about, we can get really into this state of being really hard on ourselves. Why isn't this thing working? Why I have this content, I have this newsletter. Why did 50,000 people just unsubscribe from it? What did I do wrong? And then we go into the what did I do wrong? And it's like, hey, what if you're shifting? What if you're now starting to speak your truth, or bring humor in, or actually fully step into being yourself? And now you're lovingly just clearing out those that are like no longer in alignment to be on your list, or be in your social media, or to come into a coaching container. So can you actually shift your perception and step into this place of thank you, universe, gratitude. Like I'm opening up space to receive more who are in alignment, whether it's into a masterclass, a coaching container, subscribe to a newsletter, doesn't matter what it is, and to stop making it mean you're doing something wrong because you're not. And we go through those phases. Like I've gone through that, especially lately as I'm like stepping more into my just being and like bringing some humor and a bit of bluntness into my content and things. And some people love it and some people are like, that, why did you say that? I'm like, I'm just stepping more into myself. It's okay if, that's not for you. So I just think it's like claiming our power in those kinds of places, because to grow and expand and step out of some stagnancy, sometimes this is part of it, right? So that's kind of what is coming from hearing everything.
Yeah, so true. So true. As we're thinking about kind of like we're creating that sort of that clearing and being able to recognize that, as I always talk about, and from an energetic perspective, our vibrations changing, and so like you were saying, Amber, things are moving. So the people that are in resonance with us are going to come forward, and those that are kind of feeling like don't feel aligned with her anymore are going to kind of click unsubscribe. Um, just thinking this through is like, because I know I have a daily practice, and I'm sure we've all got kind of key habits and daily practices to help with our own personal alignment. Would love to kind of dive into some of that, so that do you have a daily practice? What are the kind of key things that you find work for you, to get yourself back into alignment, so you can create that aligned success, so we're not burning out, we're not hustling, we're not kind of doing all those things. Yvette, what's coming through for you?
It changes as I change as well. So I do a range of things. So I do emotional freedom technique. So I tap. So I'm a tapper. So sometimes there's mornings, I don't necessarily tap every morning, but there's some mornings where if I'm like, okay, this is feeling a little, let's just work through that with a little bit of tapping. But I'm very big on setting intentions. I set my intention, and I'm also a huge gratitude person. So my gratitude practice is the one that does not deviate, does not shift every single day. I have this little app that counts it, and I think I'm on like 1,800 days of continuous gratitude or
Love
something,
it.
right?
Gratitude goals.
Yeah, seriously. But it's because I know when I'm in that space, in that frequency, I see the opportunities, I see what's coming, I connect. And even when, there's lots of stuff happening and life is dipped, it still keeps me going. So that's the thing I do. I don't necessarily meditate every day. Um, I do have times where I'm consistent with that, but I also don't beat myself up when I'm not aligned to that as well. It's
So
like, it's
important.
okay. It's
Mm.
okay. And it's sometimes more of an intuitive, this is what my body needs today. This is what I need right now. This is where I need to be in my business. And I'm just had this very big time out of things. And now I'm stepping into it. And it's very much, no, yes, no, maybe, no, that's definitely no. And it's really being very aligned and very connected. Um, and that's because I'm trusting myself, I'm listening to myself, I'm really in my body again. And also just making sure that I spend my time doing those practices. I mean, I do different things before every client and after every client, because that's just it's almost like my hygiene,
Yes.
it's like washing my hands or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
it's my hygiene practices. But in terms of every single day, it will vary a little bit, but there'll always be gratitude. Every single day, I will find 3 things to be grateful for, no matter what that day is. Doesn't matter, 3 things every single day. Set my intention before I sort of get out of bed. How do I want to be today? What do I want to do? How do I want to show up for my clients? How do I want to show up for me? Do that. Everything else is variable.
I love it, and giving yourself permission to be variable, as you intuitively feel is what you need to be in flow.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, so good. Jenna, what are sort of the habits or practices that you do to keep yourself personally aligned?
Again, for me, a lot of what Yvette said, I was just nodding away. Agree with a lot of it. For me, it's very intuitively led as well. My so right now at the moment, I've got 4-year-old twins, and they've just started school, and it's
Wow.
Yeah, it is a lot. They're doing fine in school, but obviously they're holding everything in throughout the whole day. And I really need to be the best version of myself to hold space for them, you know. And so having the mindset that I do and everything in place, basically embodying the work that I teach my clients, is really helping and serving me well through this like testing term. But it's very intuitive. Sometimes it's like this morning, really hard drop off. One of the girls just did not want to scoot. So look, I'm not going to go into it now, but really, really hard morning basically. And how I dealt with that, I could feel so much adrenaline in my body once I dropped her off. How I dealt with that was just absolute silence all the way home, focusing on my breath, no phone. I didn't even like, I asked myself, what do I need right now? And I wondered, do I want to check in with my husband? Do I want to send a voice note? Do I want to reach out to a friend? And I was like, no, I don't want to speak right now. I just need space. So silence and just noticing everything. You know, I can see the sea, grateful for the freedom to be by myself right now, and gratitude and space and time to just breathe. Walked home, had 15 minutes before it was time to walk to my dance class, which is a Monday morning staple in my life. Took 5 minutes to just really connect with my dog and just get some love from my dog. And then 10 minutes, I just really needed to calm my body. So 10 minutes on my timer, close my eyes and just focus on my breath. And I also remember, like, yeah, I hugged myself as well because I just needed something, some connection, and just to calm my body. After that, it was grand. Normally, I walk to my dance class and I'll do like client check-ins or do a recorded IG story. I was like, no, none of that this morning. Just 90s playlist and walk. And then my dance class was fine, and I was back to square, like back to like reset after my dance class, and we're good to go. So yeah, it's just always honoring myself and my needs before the business. And whenever things get harder, i.e. like family pressures or whatever, whenever life gets harder or pressure goes up, so does the need to honor myself and put myself first. Otherwise, it's a downward spiral. So yeah, whenever stress and pressure goes up, so does the need for us putting ourselves first and getting those feel good hormones and nervous system regulation in place. Otherwise, it's just a downward spiral to burnout and not being the best version of ourselves. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm intrigued to find out what's on your 90s playlist.
Oh, it was Spice Girls this morning. It is all sorts. I'll just like request a random year from the 90s and put it on shuffle.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it's so important, isn't it, to be able to recognize that it goes back to, I think Lara was talking about, you can be in alignment but also feel really frustrated. And recognizing we can have the whole gamut of feelings as we are growing our businesses. And often clients may come in and we'll be doing some work on changing their, their identity and getting rid of the blocks and the hidden stuff that's been holding them back. And then sometimes something frustrating can come in and it's like, well, why is it coming in now? I've been doing all this work. And I'm like, well, if you think about it, you probably called it in. If we think of ourselves being magnets a couple of weeks ago before you've done the work, and it's just kind of, the universe has been kind of moving things around to be able to do that. So we do have to be able to emotionally self-regulate as we're navigating the different experiences that we can have as parents and, you know, daughters and business owners and all the things. Laura, what's coming through for you? Anything that's coming to your mind?
Yeah. Well, so much about mine grows and evolves and changes. I get bored quite easily, so I like to change things up. But my big the thing that I always do is move my body. So I call it my money moves. It's part of like my money manifestation methodology. And this is about actually moving my physical body and but doing it in a way where I'm really deeply listening to my body. So I've been, very athletic, used to push myself very hard, been experiencing burnout since I was a teenager. So I have to really deeply listen to my body. Sometimes it's strong and wants to go hard, and sometimes it wants to be really gentle. And so, what I've been doing for quite a while now is I start the day with journaling and just clearing out the decks, and as part of it, but really tuning in and listening to how my body wants to move. And it's part of releasing, stress. It's part of, regulating my nervous system, getting things moving so I can get back into alignment and connection. So that's one of the things that I do every day. I really have to move my body. That's sort of a non-negotiable. It's not even hard work now. It's just part of the day. But the one that I'm meditation's part of my practice as well. But right now, what I'm really enjoying doing is also the journaling, where I really sit with and stay present with pain and stay present with what I call pain portal to prosperity. So really holding space to just look at everything that's going on, sort of mentally and emotionally. So I'll go through and just name it all and just put it all out. So it's like a big kind of like energetic dump. It's like doing your morning poop, but just getting it out of your head. And I just look at it and I
Energy
go
poop.
in. Yeah, exactly. Energetic poop. And really just looking at all of it so that, because there can be a lot of like ways that we're like unconsciously worrying or like maybe we're stressed about. So whether it's like financially or within the team or within clients or within children or within home or within relationships or within health, I'll just kind of go out and just get it all out and look at it. And then from there, I clear the decks, all that mental noise or emotional noise or past like trauma or kind of maybe some kind of dysregulated nervous system. And then from there, I'll start tapping into what I call that like inner guidance, that heart, body, soul aligned consciousness that's coming back into connection, coming back into alignment. So that's a really, really important practice for me right now, which I'm really enjoying. And in there, I'm tuning in body. How do you want to move today? Body, what do you want? Because my mind might be like, I want to go to the gym, or my mind might be like, we should do yoga. It's like getting out of the shoulds and really deeply listening. So those are my two kind of big ones at the moment.
Yeah, it's great hearing that everybody is giving themselves permission to follow what their intuition is saying in terms of what they are needing in that moment to be able to bring themselves into alignment. I know we've lost Amber, but hopefully she's coming back. Yes.
It literally just shut off and restarted, and I touched nothing. So, and it's not even Mercury retrograde.
What is going on? I was like, oh, Amber, come back. Oh, I'm glad you're back. You got back in. Okay. Laura was just wrapping up what she was saying around how she gives herself permission and the different ways that she is starting her day and being able to kind of move through those blocks. And what I was reflecting on was that I just love how everyone's giving themselves permission to be able to start their day in a way and adapt it to how they are feeling in that moment. What sort of things come through for you, Amber? Do you have a like rituals? Are you a ritual lady, or how do you kind of keep yourself in alignment?
Yeah.
Do that in a work.
So part of it is intuitive, just like everyone else has said, but there's certain things I love. I love to wake up, set intention, and EFT tap as well. It's just such a grounding thing. I find though, if I'm feeling a buildup of energy in my body, processing through fear, lack, something is coming up, then it's like, okay, it is time to do one of my favorite practices. I call it sacred rage. So I pull up my pillow, I close the door, and I let it come up and out in that way. And I beat at my pillow, and then I just scream and I just feel it all very present, let it all come up. And within about 5 minutes, it's all released right wherever it was stuck in the body. And I just find that really helps regulate my system. Otherwise, I'm usually very on a daily basis anchored into my meditation routine. I find it's just such a great way to ground, be very in the heart and the lower chakras. And also, it's a great way to produce dopamine and serotonin. And like you can do it within a 5 to 10 minute period as you tap in and you get really used to it. You can just boost your mood and your connections so easily and powerfully. So that's just a key piece for me. And then the rest is really tuning into how am I feeling? What's the day? What's going on? How's the collective? Do I have to clear energy or do something very much to, have that hygiene routine like Yvette was talking about? Because that is intense right now. And so was the eclipse this weekend. So there was just like extra practices I found to really get grounded because it, for me anyway, was very intense. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Oh my word, the time has just flown by. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your love and contributions to each other. would love to, just to wrap up, just to let everyone know how they can get hold of you and find you and all the things, Yvette.
I make my life easier. So if you want to find me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, it's the same name on everything. I just practice simplicity. And my website's the same as well. So YvetteAnkra.com.
Awesome. Thank you, lovely. Jenna.
Same. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, but my sort of home, I'll say, is Instagram. So on Instagram, I'm at I am Jenna Holloway. And I also have a podcast as well, which Louisa's been on as a guest. Am I allowed to promote the podcast? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please do. Share your things.
It's called Bigger Than You, and it's the Mindset, Energetics, and Subconscious podcast for entrepreneurs who have a mission that's bigger than them. So yeah, that's a weekly episode over there too.
Thank you, lovely. We'll get everyone's links beneath the recording as well. I'm losing my voice. Lara.
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Money Manifestation Mastery, and I'm Laura Waldman on most of the platforms. Laura Waldman Official on Instagram, Laura Grown Waldman on Facebook, Laura Waldman on LinkedIn. So you can find me on any of those platforms.
Awesome. Thank you, lovely. Amber.
Yes, so my website is amberapproved.ca, and I host my podcast, the No Sugarcoating Podcast, there, which is weekly and dives deep into mindset, emotional, energetics, physical healing, limiting beliefs and negative self-talk, and whatever physical symptoms may be going on for you as a woman. And then I'm on social media. My key place that I hang out is Instagram, and it's my name, Amber Romaniak.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are new to me, who are listening, I'm Louisa Havers. You can find me on all the platforms, YouTube channel, which we're growing, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and for this incredible conversation today. I've just loved it. There's so much. We could carry on chatting about this for all day. I think it's just been really, really insightful, and I really hope that this serves all our communities as well. So sending you all loads and loads of love. I hope you guys all stay connected as well, and to see you all very soon. Lots of love. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.